Well, welcome back DIY car guys and car girls. So we're doing some ignition upgrades, more or less timing upgrades right now. Eventually we'll get to the upgrades in this guy, but I want to show you what I have done so far, because today we're putting on an MSD flying magnet crank trigger system for this guy right here. That's a good thing about MSD, you can do things in stages. I know that I'm running E85. It's time to really step things up a little bit in my ignition game. So I'm gonna get a flying magnet crank trigger. Then we're going to get a grid box, and then eventually the grid power unit. You want your timing to be off the crank. I explained that in my last video, but I'll explain it again real quick, because you don't want your timing going through a sprocket on your crank, a chain, a sprocket on your cam, all those lifters are pounding your cam out to the back of the cam, where there has a gear on there, to the distributor gear, up to the rotor, and then up to the cap, then to your plugs. That's a lot of harmonics, a lot of delay that can happen in thoroughfare timing. So today, we're gonna bypass all that and go right to the crank trigger. So that's what we're doing today. So, believe it or not, I read the instructions from front to back, all of it. One thing that MSD doesn't go into great detail with is, where to put this magnet pickup, how to set up your timing and your distributor. It says to phase it. It leaves it kind of vague, so that's why I'm doing this video, because I had questions and I had to consult some other people to figure it out. And I also had an issue, because if you look at this diagram right here, there's a whole bunch of holes in this magnetic pickup. But the small black Chevy one, let me show you real quick. Let's first go over this. I had a problem with this because they didn't give you enough holes. You saw in the description they give you more holes. I had to drill 3 more in this guy, and let me explain why. Because no matter what hole I put it in, they provided. Because right now I have the motor at 38 degrees where it likes to be on E85, and I have the distributor. I still might have to phase it, but it's right there at number 1. So when it starts up, these guys right here, you put this guy right here, this way advances it, and this way retards it, right? So retard, advance, all right? Right there is where it's gonna fire. And apparently, it doesn't matter which one of these you use, any of these magnetic pickups, when it comes off this sending unit, the sending unit goes to your box. This guy right here goes to your MSD box, and it tells your distributor when to fire. So as long as you have it at number 1 on the compression stroke, right where you want it, and this guy right here, in theory, it should fire right there and be, it's almost the exact same way how you set up a distributor, but except this is your pickup and it's bypassing the distributor. So this is gonna be way more accurate, like I said before. So what the problem was, the reason why I had to drill these is because if I didn't, the holes they provided either put this guy either way down here where I could only retard it, or way up here where I could advance it. And like I said, I want this pointing right at this guy, and we have it up here at 38 degrees where I want the fire on number 1. So that's the theory. I haven't tested it yet. We're gonna see how it works. But I wanted leadway to either advance it or retard it based on what it might do. One thing they also talk about with this guy right here, do not put the pickup or the wire pickup that goes to your box next to any spark plug wires or ignition coils, because it can throw this guy off. So you want to run it under the vehicle, away from all electronics. That's another thing that I looked at. And also, don't set your timing while it's running, it said, because this will create an electrical current, which can pretty much light you up. So you move it, crank up the vehicle, and then look at your timing. So let's go ahead and I'll show you upstairs what I did. I still might have to phase the distributor, not sure, but let's talk about that. So the distributor back there is locked out because you don't want any type of advancing or retarding on your distributor, because this guy up here is no longer controlling your timing. It is just distributing the spark. That's its only job, is just to distribute the spark. So if you move it, it's not going to change your timing. It's just going to pull that cap away from that pole over here. Let me show you quick. Okay, so pretend this guy is in here just like a regular cap and rotor, and it's going to hit those guys right there. I'm going to have to open up this hole because we're going to phase it. We're going to check the phase later on. But I think this right here is going to be number 1 on the way I have my distributor set up right now. Not right here, that was the LT1. Really, it doesn't matter where this is, where it starts, number 1. You just have to know that your order, it goes 184, but mine goes 187, blah, 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 right? So it's going to come right here. So since the pickup is now doing the timing, not the magnetic pickup in the distributor, it doesn't care. It's going to fire either here, it's going to fire here. Doesn't mean that it's going to be later. What it means is that wherever it is, where it's retarding, you want it to retard and advance it on this guy, it needs to be close to this guy right here, because if it doesn't, if it goes farther over here, and if it's not phased, it could fire on the wrong cylinder. So you really need this guy to be right in here and phased directly at number 1 on the compression strokes. When it fires and you put your timing light on here, it should be looking like it's pointing directly at number 1, and that's how you phase it. Normally you would phase it by a phasing rotor for EFI, but since you're not using the distributor for your timing, you're using the pickup, all you have to do is just move the cap. And it says it in the instructions too, so that's just kind of why I want to explain that, but we'll see it whenever I get to that point, how well the phasing is. Okay, so I did a couple of things off camera, but all I did was just take this cap off right here, and I put the phasing cap in there. So you look in there, you can see the rotor, and it's pointed directly at number 1, and my timing right there is at 38 degrees, and on the pickup down there, it is set to, let me show you quick, and we got one of the magnets right in line with the pickup, so in theory it should fire right at number 1. And I also went ahead, I had that in the wrong side before, but I also went ahead and checked my clearance, and we got it around 67, 68, right around there. Basically, I just took these filler gauges, stacked them together, and then put a caliper on there to get 68. So that's that. The hardest part about everything so far is the alternator, getting this guy lined up. Because before it was on this guy, and I was hoping that this was enough distance to make it line up with this. Because at 7,000 RPM, it's really easy to kick a belt, so it has to be perfectly aligned. So far, that's been the hardest part. Let me show you guys real quick what I'm doing with that. Okay, so I got the alternators chilling. It was close, but it was definitely a little bit like this. Oh no, sorry, like this. So the alternator needs to come back that way. So on my little DIY guy right here, I ended up just taking a little bit off this so it'll fit farther that way. I'm going to bolt it up and hopefully, shit, gosh dang it. All right, so okay, we're going to bolt this guy up, and then I'm going to throw the belts on there, and if that all looks good, then we can continue to running the pickup from the box to the sensor right there, putting the wires on there, and checking our phase when we start it up. Hopefully, it goes as planned. right, so we got it on there, and I must say, it looks pretty lined up to me. You look at it at all these angles. There it is on the crank. Comes up to the alternator. I mean, that looks pretty good to me. I think we should be in the house, Danger Mouse. Okay, so we're making pretty good progress. You know, it's crazy. You lose all track of time when you're sitting there trying to get things lined up, contemplating what you're going to do, the best course of action to get everything to work. It doesn't seem like I really did anything, but oh my God, the time that has transpired is just ridiculous. But we're getting there. That's all that matters. Like I said, the hardest part was just getting everything to line up. It did take a little bit of courage for me to drill into that $400 flying magnet assembly, but it's fine. You know, it's just a hole. It doesn't really affect the magnets at all. So for you guys, it's gonna be instantaneous, but me, I'm gonna call it a day. I'm gonna get cleaned up and then get some food, and then tomorrow we will go on to the wiring part, which not much wiring at all, really. It's just plugging up things, rerouting things. And like I said, we're gonna we're gonna make sure the phase is good. We're gonna pull all the stuff back off and then put the regular cap back on there. And then hopefully nothing moves around. And then we'll, of course, at the same time we're phasing it, we'll check the timing down there. But I think so far so good. So I will see you guys tomorrow, which will be instantaneous, kind of like this. Okay, we are back. So I went ahead and put all the wires on. I did start up already off camera. The reason why is because I always spray these headers down with WD-40 so they don't rust and look like crap. So I want all the smoke to come off. And I'll show you guys in a second. First I want to show you what I did, and we still got to check the phase. I don't know what the phase is. I haven't looked at that yet. But I got the timing light right here to do that. And I will say the timing was rock solid. I did advance it some, so I'm glad that I drilled those 2 extra holes, because if it was way up here, way up there, I wouldn't have been able to do one or the other. So I was able to advance it to 38 degrees. It was now 32 degrees, so I advanced it up, so I have a whole bunch of room for retard, which I'm glad that I did it like that. So let me show you inside what I did and underneath, and then we'll start her up and we'll check the phase. And I'll also show you how incredibly rock solid the timing is. Also what I did, I double grounded the motor. Basically I took some sandpaper, went all the way down till it was metal, stuck a bolt through there, tightened this guy on, and then I put this red RTV on there, keep it from rusting, and that goes to the back of the crank trigger to the block, which I also sanded down. And this is my old ground. I just checked the ground on that. It's basically the same thing, but up there to a nut that's welded. And the pickup, I took it off the fuel lines right there just to keep it out the way. And then it goes back. Oh gosh, hopefully I can get back here and show you guys. Also, I put the sleeve on there just to help insulate it a little more, because I don't have a grommet to put right there. So it goes right up there to the box, and I kept it off everything, away from all electrical wires as much as I could. Of course, we got the the power right there from the main battery. I don't think that's going to really screw it up at all. And I am using, let me show you inside. All right, so here's the MSD box. Let you guys know I did reground all this. I didn't really do anything, so I think it might have been the wires the whole time I was having that miss. But I gave it its own ground. The ground goes right down there to the chassis, and it's a bolt that's attached. Same way I did the ground up there, you know, to the metal. Then I covered it up with some RTV so it won't rust. The power off this guy is going directly to the bulkhead right there, or the junction box stud that's coming off the battery. So it has its own, as clean as it's going to get unless I run it from here all the way back, but that big old fat junction box should be fine, I'm pretty sure. So we got that taken care of. And of course, here is the other end of the wiring harness. It goes to the magnet pickup. Like I said, I put this stuff on there so that way it won't rub, because I don't have any grommets right there, but this should add plenty of protection. And it is also grounded to the same ground. This is ground too. So it has its own clean power, has its own switch, which is up here, own switch, and it's just separate from everything else. So I'll try to keep it all the way to the side. So hopefully all this clears up my ignition problems, and then we can continue on with some more upgrades. But for now, we're just going to try this. I know some of you guys are probably wondering, what in the world is this contraption? Well, this is my crankcase electric evac pump. It's a smog pump. It's the poor man's deal for a crankcase evac. It just pumps, you know, it's like just a vacuum pump and it just pulls crankcase pressure. So if you see this right here, I tried everything. I even had a catch can that has a filter in it, and it still starts to puddle oil in here. So I just made this little thing right here. All it does is just drain the oil that gets in there, and I just dump that out, and that's kind of what that is. Okay, so we got the GoPro right there, so you guys can look directly down the distributor, because I'm not going to be able to film that and hold this timing light at the same time. And then I'll show you guys exactly how rock solid timing is. It's pretty crazy how rock solid it is. So let's go ahead and start it up. Okay, so I went up and I cleaned everything up real quick. I have a camera right here, and the reason why is because I have it right here. If you can see, right there on the harmonic balancer where the timing pointer is, and I couldn't do it with one hand, so I had the camera there. But when you rev it up, you just have to see how rock solid the timing is. It's pretty impressive. When you watch a distributor, it'll like, you know, kind of go, or walk this way or walk that way a little bit, you know. When you rev it up, a lot of times it'll just pull timing. This one right here, it's just there. It's pretty impressive. So let me go ahead and start it up, and we'll cut to this camera, and I want you guys to see just how rock solid it is. So yeah, pretty impressive how the timing just sits right on there. Rock solid timing. This video's getting kind of long. I am beat. It's hot out here. I'm going to go inside. But like always, keep on wrenching and peace. Doop.